Welcome to Three Takes. I'm Ishana.
I'm Minali.
I'm Mona.
Three women.
Three generations.
One family, unpacking the questions we all ask.
Hey Mama, hey Dada, what's up with you guys?
Oh, nothing much. I was just talking to my forever 21 girlfriends, and we were just chatting about the amazing trip we had, and we were looking at the videos and the pictures.
So first of all, wait, how did you guys come up with Forever 21 and where did you go?
Oh, we went to North Captiva, and it was so much fun. The way we came up with the name, because we all met 36 years back. And that time we were in our early 20s or mid 20s. So even after 36 year, our bonding, our friendship is still there, and we are very close. So then we decided to call ourselves Forever 21 because I think we don't age. Our friendship is getting better, and and I think we say that with each other's company, we feel much younger. So we just call ourselves Forever 21.
Okay.
I like that though. I think that's like sentimental and shows the importance of your friendship, not only when you first moved here and with that group of people, but also your friendships even in Charlotte and back home in India, having a group of people that you can still meet up with after so many years of having kids, being busy. So that's also a very cool thing that you were able to make the time to have that trip.
I think that's actually something we should talk about because I know it's something I've definitely struggled with, is just nurturing friendships as life in general gets busy and other things start to become a priority, whether that's career or building family. So maybe we should delve into a little bit more, like what makes friendships last? Like what do we seek out in a friendship?
Yeah, I mean, to that question, I don't know if I can answer that directly, but rather speak to when I think about friendship, when I think about childhood in general. There's a few memories that pop into my head that I think helped me form friendships. As I was growing up, I think one was when we had just first moved to Charlotte. We lived in like a very community-oriented neighborhood. We were on like the cul-de-sac. And so being able to just take the bus home from school and then play in the neighborhood. I remember we would go trick-or-treating with each other. Anytime there needed to be like babysitting, we would just go to the neighbor's house. And so I think that was like my first way of remembering just friendships. It started with just who you lived next to with people your age. A lot of it was tied to like play. Like who would I play with is where my first form of friendship happened.
And I will say, Ishana, I remember in general, you just wanted to play with anybody and everybody. You weren't very selective of your friends.
I was a social butterfly. I mean, remember when like you got in trouble in school once and the same thing happened to me, and then I was just like, okay, like it's fine.
Yeah, you got in trouble all the time.
Yeah. But like, I don't know how to answer that question in terms of like, what we value in a friendship. Do you guys have thoughts on that as opposed to how I just talked about like my first forming of a friendship?
Yeah, I think, friendship also evolve. Like, for me, if I remember, you were talking about your childhood. I think the first friendship I remember, I think when I was in first grade or second grade, I remember when I went to the school and I will come and tell my mom the very first day, oh, she or he is my best friends. Now I wonder, like, how do I know in my one day that they are my best friends? But if I reflect back, anybody who made me comfortable, who was ready to play with me and who was good to me, I thought they were my friends, right? So.
Mama, for you also, though, I remember you've talked about growing up in India and, family, community was very strong. And even when we go back to India, I know you point out all these places that you would play with your cousins and everything. So do you think friendship was different growing up in India than how me and Dada experienced friendship at an early age, or not really?
I won't say that. I think because friendship doesn't matter where you are, there is a core or the foundation of friendship, right? And friendship also is a very big term, right? There can be friends, but friends can be also means in a different categories or compartments. That's not a right word, but what I'm trying to say that some friends you really have a lot of fun, and fun is very important for me. Some friends I meet in the parties I like because I will have good conversation with them. I will, like to meet with them. And then some friends are where I really find a safe place where I can be whoever I want to be. But does it mean that all of those people I'm meeting all are my friends? Well, if I'm interacting with me, or if they are inviting me, or I'm inviting them, there is definitely some kind of connection. There is some kind of friendship, right? That's why somebody's taking an effort. But it can be at a different level. So, when you say friendship, it's a very wide and very kind of word, like, you have to define, because fun is important in life for me. So I really want to have friends where I can just have fun. And the friends which I want to really have good conversations. So what I'm saying is that you have to put in different buckets and then see how the friendship evolves. Who do you want to keep? Who you don't want to bring in your the safe place. So you have to, just like in any other relationship, you have to be very careful how you pick and choose your friends. But you can still have fun.
I think for me, the way that Mama was just describing friendships and how she sees like certain friends differently, and like with certain friends, she'll have more depth of conversation. With other friends, she knows they can be reliable people to have fun with and go out with. There's a really beautiful poem. I believe the author is Drew Chalker, but it goes along the lines of people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And that's really how I see friends, is that, some friends, you are friends with them for like a specific reason, right? Like I know they're reliable people I'll always have fun with. Some people, you become friends with them for a season, right? So there are friendships that I had when I was in school, whether that was like medical school or residency, or, even just in elementary school or middle school, right? Like there's a particular season in your life where you see them, you become friends with them, but it's not necessarily a relationship that you're going to keep beyond that season of your life. And then there are friends who are just lifetime friends that no matter where you are in life, what you're doing, like they will be there for you.
I have
you
a
will
question.
be there for them.
We originally were born in Greenville, South Carolina, and then we moved to Charlotte. I was like 5 or 6, so to me it didn't mean that much, but I know for you it was a pivotal point where you had to move to a new place when you were starting middle school, which, especially as a girl, there's a lot going on there. So how are you able to form friendships or not form friendships in that stage of life?
I'm not going to lie, I think middle school era in general was a lot of growing pains for me, like apart from just puberty. Yeah, like there was also this big move that we did, like from South Carolina to North Carolina. And I would say in general, I think making friends hasn't always been easy for me. Like I would say like I was kind of socially awkward, especially early on. So I remember I would just like go up to people randomly and be like, what's your favorite radio station? Just to like break the ice without even asking people like what their name was. I will say part of the friendships developed with just activities that I would do, right? So I was involved with like tennis or extracurriculars. So kind of automatically meet people that way. Some people you connect with more than others. And then also, this is kind of funny, but like mom met this other Indian woman, like who was dropping off her kids at our middle school. And I don't know if it was the Brown connection or what, but we all just connected. So like the kids were all similar, right? Like I had a friend my age. Ishana also had like her counterpart, like similar age group. And then obviously like Mama also had her friends. So like we really connected with that family. And they were like the first family I think that we really became really close family friends with. Who we consider
and now
family.
they're going to be a part of my wedding. So
Right. So yeah, I would say it did come with growing pains, but through extracurriculars and honestly through some of the parents' friends too, just like family friends you hang out with. That's how I built friendships.
Yeah, I think that's a good disclaimer too of, to anyone listening, like it is not easy to make friends for sure. I think regardless of being extroverted, being introverted, like to approach someone and then find a connection and then feel vulnerable enough to talk about things like that does not come easy. And a lot of the times it's not that like instant friendship that gets formed.
Yeah, and I think that's why you hear a lot of time people, because what happened is that in the friendship, as I said, friendship evolves. Like once you're a child, like so from my childhood, then I went to college. Then when I got married, when you become parent, when your kids get married, the career change, city move, all this dynamic affect friendship. But if somebody is stuck where you were before, if they both are not in the same sync, the friendship started to, fall apart, right? So it is very important to understand as a friend, like, for me, if I really want to be a good friend or true friend to somebody, it's not that we are becoming distinct. It's just I understand that you are, or maybe I am, in a different phase of life, with kids. Some people are having grandkids or getting married because we are in a different life stage. So it's totally okay that, because your life is changing, you are not able to spend that much time with me, or you have to maintain other relationships. So that is your priority. So I think what happened is that when expectations and understanding don't shift as your emotional needs, as your circumstances are evolving, then people get hurt.
That's actually really something I think I needed to hear, because I think lately I've just been going through this like emotional state where I have friends now leaving New York City. I have some friends getting married, some friends really wanting to go out, single, ready to mingle. And a lot of these people have been very close friends for me, but everyone is also going through their own journey at this point. I mean, it's kind of like this book called Redefining Decade. The 20s is just like full of so many things. And I think I've been having a hard time of how to maintain some of those relationships, given the fact that we are all in slightly different forms of life now.
I will say, like, I am an introvert. My husband's an extrovert. I would say, like, Ishana, you and Mama are also pretty extroverted. I see you guys as social bees and able to make friends pretty easily. For me, my struggle has been like making friends, but then once I make my friends, I do maintain them, or I try to. So like I've always had, I think, like fewer but really high quality, strong friendships. And I do think part of that also comes with like effort. Like how much effort do both people put in the relationship? Is there a certain level of mutual like respect and understanding in like any relationship, right?
Yeah.
But I think especially with friendships. And I think the other thing that's challenging with friendships is, unlike a romantic relationship where people live together or they have date night or they like, people do tend to set aside protected time. I don't think that level of protected time is necessarily always there with friends, especially if you don't live close by, if you're in different parts of the country or, again, a different life phase. So I think it becomes even more important that the far and few between communication that you have is really a time just to like connect and listen to each other.
I think it also builds back to a core value, whether it's a romantic relationship or not, is trust. I mean, I'm thinking about me and my one best friend who, like, we went to college and we don't text every day. Like, even now we don't call, we don't FaceTime, like, as much as I do with, like, my fiance. But, like, when we do catch up, I think those times are super intentional and, like, super present. Whereas, like, I think there are some friendships that I've had who haven't been as strong as that one best friend I have, but we are, like, talking much more often. And I think there is that discrepancy depending on the level of trust and comfortability that's there.
Minali, going back to your point that you were saying that you probably have fewer friends, but once you make it, they are very close to you. And, Ishana and me are more extrovert. So I think maybe the way Ishana and I define friendship might be a little bit different, because for you, the depth is very important in friendship. And so is it for me. But for me, it's okay.
I'm not like I'm like
shallow
like a
person.
superficial friend. I have depth.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying that we are okay. Like, we are okay to have just fun. Like, sometimes what I'm saying is that we don't take things like, so we know that who are our closest friend and where our depth that relationship is. But then we are completely okay to hang out and do, have fun with other people the same way any other friend. So I think that's where how we define and how we see might be a little bit different, and which is completely fine.
No, I think that's totally true, right? Like, we actually had a challenge with this, like when it came to, for our wedding, choosing bridesmaids and groomsmen, because like I said, like Rahul, my husband, very social. Everybody and anybody is his best friend, like once he meets them. I could probably, on one hand, like tell you who I could put on my bridesmaids list. That was just not happening for Rahul. Like there was no way he was able to shortlist his friends. So we ended up not having bridesmaids or groomsmen all together and instead had like hype squads. So like different phases of our life. Like we had high school hype squad, you know, residency, med school, college hype squad.
And I think that's okay, right? Like something like a wedding where your true friends, super close, and also some that you just met, come to it. And I think it's good to also challenge the traditional norm of having bridesmaids and groomsmen or something like that, right? Like how you view your friends is that you included everyone from all stages of your life. And to you, that was important. Whereas like I can count the number of friends I have on like 10 fingers, like who those people would be. And like that's something I want to like stick by regardless. But yeah, I think it goes back to how we define it. But Mama, I actually have a question for you. Like going back to seasons of life and where you are depending on time, place, season of life, how do you know if there is like a friendship that's just like not worth fighting for anymore?
You pick the friendship where it was left, right? You know, you don't have to really be somebody else. You can be yourself. And somebody not there with you at the time when the things are well, but you can really open your heart, or you can really say that, you know, I'm really struggling with this. And when it comes to that, even for me also, I have friends which I can really count on, right? So that number always decreases because I'm completely okay, but I still feel very blessed that the number of friends I have, that who I can count on. But what happens is that you can't really go after, you cannot really force somebody to trust you, cannot force somebody to like you, you cannot force somebody to do things for you. It is earned, it is mutual, right? So unless there is a mutual respect, mutual understanding, mutual trust, you know, the friendship won't last. But I see that in a lot of time in women, and I find it that, oh my gosh, why are you worried? You know, somebody is your best friend and tomorrow you are talking really anything and everything to everyone. To me, I find that's a very shallow friendship, right? You have
definitely.
Right?
It's
so
funny because you saying that reminds me of like sometimes when like my fiance goes out to like drinks with friends, I'm like, oh, like what'd you guys talk about? He's like sports. Like there's no like deeper conversations happening there. Like, but again, I think like, yeah, guys and girls are also like different in that aspect.
Yeah. And I think you start picking the clues. You started picking people's behavior. So you will know that, like, you know, and you will start seeing the trend in the friendship. Okay, there is somebody who has like this friend, and then in the next season, somebody, and then again, they went back to the same person, and they keep changing this kind of, then and you have to be little bit careful because you can be in the same, and do you want to get into that situation? Then you try to keep, okay, they are your friend, but maybe they are not probably closest friend, and they probably don't want you either, and which is completely fine. So I think you have to be very careful because to me, friendship is very important.
Yeah.
And I cannot live without my friends.
I will say, like for you, Mama, specifically, like, and Papa or Dad, like you moved here without family. So you relied on your friend group. For support.
The Forever 21 friend group. Was
Was
their first friend group.
Right. So even for Forever 21, that group, we are still very connected. There is a bonding there, although we are moved to different cities. But the time when we supported each other, when we came, we had just got married, we were in our early 20s. And I remember we will talk about where is the garage sale for our buying a furniture, you know, sofa. And then the same friends hosted our baby shower, and then, you know, our kids, and we took so many trips together, right? And then from there, when I moved to Charlotte, I had a really amazing group of friends, and I think we did so many trips with some of our friends, and the kids grew, so that bonding is there, and I think I value that friendship. That okay, there might be a difference of opinion, but that friendship is not just with me. It has a friendship with my kids. It has the friendship with my husband. That's a really big thing. I cannot, just because I feel bad about something, I cannot, you know, leave my friend just like that, right?
Honestly, and that's something that I have really come to value now, my late 20s, early 30s now, But
you're not late 20s. You're
no, I'm
early
like saying
30s.
I started being grateful for this in my late 20s.
Okay.
I am in my early 30s now. But I started getting grateful in my 20s. I would say like the community that our parents built. So it was an immigrant community, right? So like all the Indian people sort of gravitated towards each other. But as a result of our parents doing that, the kids also hung out and interacted with each other too. And I feel so connected to all those people because of those life situations we were in. We were all relying on each other. So I do appreciate that. 2 litmus tests also that I kind of use to see like how close is a friendship is, one, it's like how much do I actually need to clean my apartment before someone comes in if I don't have to do much.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Like they're in my inner circle, right? And then 2, I think, is just somebody who will hype you up and support you even when they're feeling low or down. And that's not an expectation I have all the time, but it's an observation that I've seen with all my closest friends. It's even if life isn't working out for them at that moment, they will still support me and hype me up. And, same, vice versa. I'll be there for them.
I think that's a big one of like when something celebratory happens to you, is there a friend that's reacting out of jealousy or out of genuine excitement? And I think that you can easily sense. But I want to go back to, I think that your point about the community that we were built, I think it would be worth also mentioning like some of the struggles of also finding friendships, having our Indian community, and then growing up in the US as well, where there were also people who like didn't necessarily have an affinity with like our background and culture. Mm-hmm. Like I think one struggle I had growing up, and even like as I've grown up, is always balancing people who come from my cultural background and then those who don't. Because transparently, I think, at least my opinion is like, there are some instant connections that form when you have the same religious beliefs or cultural values, or even have parents who immigrated. There's just like certain things you can bond on. When I remember when I started going to private school in high school, like I feel like I changed as a person a lot, and also just wasn't able to find myself fit in that much because I didn't have those people who really connected to like how I grew up. So I think another ingredient for me in a friendship is a little bit of like how your values align with also your background and culture.
So I won't say it's religion or ethnicity. I think it's who you feel connected with, right? I think who do you feel can have a shared values. It can be for anywhere. Anytime where you're out of your comfort zone, initially you feel that, right? Because, imagine when you're living in your house and you're going, your first time you're stepping and going to live on your own. That feeling is, right, oh my gosh, everybody is new because you're not familiar with the situation.
No, I agree. But again, I still think that there's a level of comfort built if there is someone who comes from a similar background. It doesn't have to be religious or cultural, but even socioeconomic, or even like if you can bond over the fact that like our dads went to Clemson. Like that is just like something that makes things a little bit more comfortable, that I think, at least when I am finding a friendship, again, I'm not saying you or that you have to, but I think finding some commonality is like,
the
important
connection.
for me.
I mean, you have to bond over something, but
your
what that
values
is variable.
Yeah.
Part of this is what makes friendships last. So I'm just curious, how do you all keep in touch and or maintain friendships? Like, is this something active that you do?
Yeah, so to answer your question on lasting friendships, I actually want to give a shout out to one of our cousins, Manas, who I think has really taught me, and also something I really value is how he stays connected with me, in the sense of he doesn't even like let me know ahead of time. He'll just try to call me on like a random day after work when he's commuting or something like that. But whether or not I can pick up or not, he will say like we want to catch up or something like that. And when we do get to catch up, I think like he's very intentional on being on the phone, and like it doesn't matter if he can only talk for 30 minutes. If the conversation ends up going 45 minutes, like he is very present in communicating and keeping up with friendships or relationships in general. And so I think that's something that I have tried to do over time, especially given that my friends are everywhere, is I'll just try to pick up my phone and either FaceTime or call them. And if they pick up, great. If not, at least there's like that thought that I'm thinking of you. And like at some point we'll find a time to catch up.
And I think something which I'm working on is that, when the friends, when they call and when they share with you, is the time to be a good listener. It's time to really cheer them up if they are telling you the good news. And if they are going through with something, it's time to hear and then just making sure that you are not alone. I'm with you. The same way I love with you, the same way we have done so many things together. And this time you are not alone. Especially for my friends, we are in a different time phase right now, right? Because we are at the verge of where we are thinking about the retirement, or maybe we don't want to work anymore, many of our friends, or, we are worried about our kids. Some are married, some we are worried about, what will happen to the future, the kids or our elderly parents. There's just so many things, so many topics that happen. And I think sometimes you have to be just good listener. Every time, we don't have to come up with our own share of a story. I think that is important.
I think that's the worst when it's like you're just trying to like vent. And then the friend is like, oh, yeah, the same thing happened to me when this happened. It's like, wait,
it's really annoying.
I was trying to tell you how I was feeling and now you're making it about yourself.
Right.
Yeah. No, you're
Dada,
right.
what about you?
So I will say I definitely need to work on calling and FaceTiming my friends more. I FaceTime you all every day. But with my friends, it's sort of, we communicate through memes. or I'll text here and there, but I definitely have a preference for in-person meetup in general. Like if people are in the city or, if I'm visiting nearby, I will try to reach out so I can meet up with them in person. Like I agree, like I do appreciate how our cousin will do these check-ins like when he can at his convenience, but also like whenever we can pick up too. So yeah, I still need to work on it, but that's the thing, right? Like with my few close friends, it's like I know kind of no matter how much I reach out or how I reach out, like they will be there.
I feel like, to sum this up, True Friend by Hannah Montana is like a song the song just came to me. I feel like that's like how I would define friendship. Instead of me talking about it, I feel like we could just play the song of True Friend by Hannah Montana.
I cannot believe you brought Hannah Montana into this podcast. Oh my God.
Me and my one best friend, the one that we've been talking about throughout this episode, that's like our go-to song when we are just like defining friendship. So maybe we can input that into this episode.
Okay, I think that's like a good time to segue into our takeaways. Do you want to talk about what we took away from this conversation?
Yeah, I think the question, right, of like what makes a friendship last, I think from both of you, there's a few things that I personally learned. I think one, listening is very key. I think this is also one case where I did learn gut and instinct matters more than maybe some other decisions or ways of looking at things in life. There's like a feeling you have when you are with a friend, and your feeling will dictate and tell you whether or not this is a genuine, true friendship or this is a friendship just to have. And I think in this conversation, that's something I took away.
I think for me, how you were giving example of your cousin Manas, and I know how busy he is. He's a dad, he's a husband, he's a surgeon, and he does so many other things. So with his busy schedule, if he can make an effort for a phone call, and which I know he does because he does with us as well, I think it is a really nice thing I'm going to pick more phone and then be in touch with people intentionally where I don't have to rush in.
Yeah, I think just reminding myself one point that Mama brought up is that friendship really requires mutual trust, respect, and understanding, and keeping those things in mind. And I am also going to plug in my Litmus test, which neither of you mentioned, and I'm taking very personally.
Wait, to be honest, I don't know what word you've been saying.
Litmus.
Litmus?
It's like a saying where it's like, okay, this is like the true test of if something's going to work or not.
My vocabulary has never been great, so maybe that's also a takeaway. Litmus?
Yes.
Litmus.
But basically, it's like, how much do I need to clean my apartment and myself before a friend walks through the door?
And also, last takeaway I have is it's okay to let some friendships go.
Yeah, that's a good one too. But yeah, we'd love to learn from our listeners, like, how do you all see friendships? What tips and tricks do you have in maintaining those friendships? And what makes a lasting relationship? Would love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us on 3 Takes. If something we shared sparked a new thought or opened up a convo with someone you love, we'd love to hear about it. DM us on Instagram at 3.takes, email us at connect@3takes.com, or visit us at www.3takes.com. And if this episode meant something to you, share it with another mother, daughter, or sister in your life. It's how we grow and how the stories keep moving. Whereas, like, I can count the number of friends I have on, like, 10 hands that truly...
10 hands or 10 fingers?
Sorry, 10 fingers. No, 10 hands, Edward Scissorhands.